Somebody says that there's a confusion in the chat. Please be more clear regarding inexperienced children in Tantra. There's confusion in the chat. And okay, so just to be very clear, the act of creating self is a sacred act. Like to reproduce yourself is a sacred act. Like it's something that you really need to be on point with. Why? Look around us. How do we get here? It's as simple as that, that if you don't know what you're doing, it's not one of those where you could just kind of like wing it. Something's going to happen. And this is why they're promoting this in the society. They want you to have kids. As I said, they're fuel for their fire at this point. Negative fire energy burning up everything. It needs more fuel. It's going to cling to it. Hey, just produce more children. It's going to keep stimulating you on the sexual level so that you just keep having more and more children. But the act itself is sacred, because there's this whole thing you could do with children, like from the time of the conception point, when it's in the womb, you know, some of the tones and the vibrations and the places that you can have the mother see, some of the things that she can eat, the time in which the conception happens. Remember this, and we talked about this in the Sovereignty Mentorship course about conception times. And this is like, you know, right now when most people get someone pregnant, they're just like, oh, I'm pregnant. It's seldom a plan. And if it is a plan, it's seldom based on having a child during a certain time. However, you wouldn't really plant a tree anytime you want, especially not the big trees. The big trees, you need to plant them in specific places. You need to dig it certain depths for the seed to take. You got to soak the seed. There's a whole process because of the complexity of what you're doing. So too, the ancient mothers, they would chart out when they would have a child. That book, Alien Wombs and Alien Spirits, was what really showed us that in depth in the tribe of the women in the Sudan culture, where they knew how to draw down the power of the stars because they knew when certain stars were going to be passing over. And they knew that if a woman had a conception right during that time, that it was going to attract the energy from that star, and her womb being used as a wormhole or a vacuum or a black hole would pull that into that space through the man's electron gun, which is his orgasmic point through the tip of his penis. So if there's any confusion about something like that, you could see why, because you have so many novices trying to interpret such complex matters that grandmothers would be sitting around. You know, grandmothers would even be in a room when the process was happening of the insemination. That's how deep it was. So, of course, in a time now where, like I said, it's used to like, I just want to feel good. And, this is how you clear your, and all that. That's not all that it does, obviously. And doing that too much also puts one, if they don't know about the other elements, the fire, that's the fire, the water, the wind, the earth, as I brought up. If they don't know about those other elements, then they get off balance and the energy just starts consuming, just like the problem we're dealing with. It's like then the person just becomes just the same as the issues that we're dealing with right now, because they start consuming and burning up things too, right?